welcome you inside the college football courtroom, or the Vegas divorce court, if you want. I'm Honorable Jacob Irons. I know everything there is to know about college football. Well, maybe. I didn't really play football, but I know a lot about college football. I have my gavel, my trusty football. We have our two lovely contestants playing today on every yes or no. We have JJ Post, the honorable lawyer from Northwestern, who got his little law degree, and then we have John, who's from Notre Dame, and working the swagger here a little bit. So let's start it off on our first conversation topic in the Vegas divorce court. Notre Dame ranks 96 in passing yards per game. Will they develop through the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, it's hard for them to get worse. You know, I mean, listen, we have how many 4 stars on this wide receiver core? You know, Drew Pine, for all the jokes we'll make, is still a 4-star quarterback himself. We have an offensive line that is stacked with talent, 2 NFL-level players bookending him. I think it's just hard to imagine them getting worse. I don't think this offense is exactly game-breaking, but I do think they're not one of the 30 worst units in the country. So I think just by metric of improving to the mean, law of averages, they have to get better at some point.
Whoa, now a rebuttal.
You know, that sounds a lot like when people say, oh, if Patrick Mahomes had an average season, he'd be an average quarterback. I tell you, this passing attack is not average. It is subpar. That, like, mostly has to do with the wide receiver recruiting, as we mentioned for several past years. We're not bringing in the best guys in the slightest. We have Michael Mayer and maybe Lorenzo Styles.
That's a big if, though. We have Michael Mayer.
Yeah, but if you trouble,
he still catches passes.
He's not going to be able to do that. But we don't need to have a good pass game because we have our identity in the run game. We grit, we grind, and we have Audric Estime die forward for 4 yards every play. That's fine with me. The offensive line is going to dominate the line of scrimmage, get that time of possession going, and we are just going to grind teams in submission with that running attack. We don't need to pass the ball when we get 5 yards to carry.
I favor in JJ. This team will develop. This is a team that will find its way to get going again. Let me tell you, this trusty football has never steered me wrong. I have been a very honest and honorable judge on this court.
When in doubt, choose the Notre Dame homer take.
Notre Dame will develop. All right, now it's College Game Day's game of the week. It's the battle of the unbeatens in the Big 12. It's Kansas and TCU. But the biggest question is, guys, is Kansas and the Jayhawks no longer just a basketball school?
Not at all.
Oh.
See, I love a good underdog story, right? But see, the last time we were high on the Jayhawks, started 5-0, ranked again, 2009. You know, at the end of that season, 5-7. They lost 7 straight games in a row. Will it be that bad? Probably not. I think the Jayhawks are bowl-bound, which is a good improvement. But ultimately, they have a bit of a tough schedule. Do they have any chance against TCU, a team that has blown out almost every team so far this season, a team that dominated the Oklahoma Sooners, which maybe not Big 12 contender, but still a good team this year? I think that it's going to be really rough down the stretch. They maybe win 7, 8 games this year, but I can't say they're a legit contender for anything when you aren't even competing for the Big 12, one of the weakest conferences in the country as of now.
I'd like to rebut on 2 fronts. First, who was the coach in 2009? For one, it wasn't Lance Leopold, perhaps the most winningest coach in lower division football history. Whoa. The guy has won everywhere he's been. He went to Buffalo. Buffalo is one of the most notoriously difficult jobs to get winning. In 2 years, he got them winning. He had Kansas beat Texas last year, and this year, they're on another roll again. But secondly, I'd like to point out, you know, you talk about a team that can contend for anything, and then you say 8 wins. Have you seen the Big 12 lately? 8 wins can win you the Big 12. This is a team that just needs to win when it matters. And I think they're showing the traits of a team that can adapt, that they can find ways to win different ways. You know, they've boat race teams. They put up 40 points, 50 points. They have one of the highest scoring offenses in the country heading into the Ohio State game.
They did it against Duke. They did it against West Virginia. They've done it against a bunch
Respect
of
West
bad
Virginia?
teams. I really don't. I don't think the opponents have been good, and I also think that you're going to see Oklahoma State and TCU destroyed.
How about Iowa State? Iowa State's a good team.
Order.
3 points.
Order. They don't listen to anything we talk about in the production meetings about time limits. But I favor Kansas, not a legit team.
You're an enemy of the state, Jacob.
They are not legit.
Twitter will have your head for this.
The Jayhawks are not. However, we'll move on. It's Red River weekend, baby. It's Texas and Oklahoma, but is it overrated?
It's always overrated.
Oh,
This matchup, I know what you're going to say. It's a big rivalry. It matters. The two schools care. They play at the Cotton Bowl. It's all fun and games. The two teams aren't good. Who cares? Kansas TCU is a better matchup. It's been a better matchup. This Oklahoma defense brought in the defensive guru in Brent Venables, and then they got boat raced by TCU. This Texas team, I think usually I'm the number one let's make fun of Texas person. They've been pretty good this year. That being said, pretty good isn't good enough to be in the top 25 right now when you are losing to the likes of Bama's a fair loss. We'll give them their credits for that. That I won't hate on them. But Texas Tech, however, is not the type of team a team playing in a top 5 matchup loses to. This is a game between two teams that are always overrated and will continue to be overrated.
Order.
Move it.
Is it game day worthy this week? No. But I don't think you can argue that a single matchup is what's going to just completely dishonor and make such a historic.
If my dorm team plays alumni
rivalry.
ball at the Cotton Bowl, does it make it any better, John?
It does, if that has been such a time-honored tradition. I think we need to have more reverence for the past. That we look
Reverence for the past.
at what makes college football special.
The Texas offense agrees with you.
The college football experience is made special by the pomp and circumstance, by the history, and by the tradition. We look at two great programs in Texas and Oklahoma who have won almost more than anyone else. They have bad blood, and trust me, when two teams really hate each other like that, and the horns down, get you punched in the throat, you know that's got to be a good game.
All right, that's time. My grandfather was able to go to the Red River Showdown. It's horns up and Boomer Sooner. It's a good matchup. All right, let's move it. Let's see it. Jimbo Fisher in the hot seat. Texas A&M once again can't find its way in the SEC. Is Jimbo in the hot seat, and could he be without a job by the end of the year?
I believe in Jimbo Fisher. I think he's actually quite a good coach. We forget all too soon, especially in the SEC. People have way too short memories in the SEC. You see Paul Feinbaum going, Paul, I swear,
they ain't
Texas
playing
A&M,
nobody, Paul.
They ain't playing nobody. They can't compete with Alabama's. Nick Saban just something else, Paul. But ultimately, I think Jimbo Fisher has everything you want in a coach. He has that championship pedigree, and he knows how to recruit, which is the most important thing in this day and age, and they have money with that NIL. We can't forget that Texas A&M, people argued, should have gone into the playoff over Notre Dame just recently. And that is success. I don't care what you say. It's not championship or bust unless you're a crazy Aggie fan, which they are, albeit a bit of a cult. And really, I think it's just the donors kind of flex right now. It's a month
Move it.
What do they got on that team? 13 5-stars in the last year? 40 total. This team is too good to, listen, I think hot seat might be a bit too harsh of a term for what Jimbo Fisher is on right now because, listen, he still is probably going to win 9 games this year. He still is next year going to be in a position where he will win 9 games, and that is a good coach. But at Texas A&M, a program that, in their vision at least, has such a proud tradition of winning 10 games instead of 9 and almost making the playoff instead of not making the playoff, that's not really what they're going to look for. And, he's valued at, $95 million right now? They'll find whatever oil they need to get him out. This is a program that prides itself on being money rich. If they don't like what they see, they will get him out. And right now, I think the boosters aren't happy.
That 12th man is feeling up his wallet right now.
Boosters always win. He'll be out. All right, let's move on to our final topic of Vegas Divorce Court, College Football Edition. Notre Dame's coaching staff is young. There's no way around it, minus Al Golden. It's probably the most experienced team, but are you sold on the coaching staff so far?
The rocky start had me questioning my faith. I felt a bit like Job, shaking my fist at Jack Swarbrick, asking him why this team had forsaken me. But then I heard the answer ringing from the top of the Duncan Student Center, and that was, trust the process, young one. Have faith. I have you. And that is giving me all I need to know that this team is young. This coaching staff is young, but they're going to grow into it because they have the intangibles. They have what's important, and they know how to relate to young players. They're innovative, and they're able to bring in top recruiting prospects. It'd be unfair to give Marcus Freeman credit for the success or failure of this team this year. It's Brian Kelly's guys. You got to wait for his guys to come in to implement his system, and if they do well, he's successful. I think he will.
All right, let's hear the rebuttal.
John, I'm stealing your glasses. I have seen the vision. I am moving on from the homer take, not just to boost our ability to have disagreements, but also because, listen, there have been 4 games this year. There have been 5 games in total under the Marcus Freeman era. it's not fair to say you're sold on them, even if they were having some of the best 4 games you've ever seen. It's been 4 games. Things could get a lot better from here. They could also get a lot worse. This is a lot of unproven on this staff right now. I'm not saying we need to get rid of everybody. I'm also saying, just by nature of there being, how many total minutes of football right now? A couple hundred? There is a lot to be found out of this team. I don't want to make any judgment on them, positive or negative, until the season's over at a minimum. And until they play the top 5 team.
All right. College football courtroom favors. They're pretty good. They'll be fine.
We're 2-2.
Yeah.
They're 500. They are literally average.
Yeah, young team.
Statistically average.
All right. Order in this court. I'm the honorable Jacob Irons.
Get him thrown out.
However, we're not just talking football on this show. Ryan Murphy leaves a look around the entire Notre Dame landscape in this fall sports recap. Ryan, what's you got cooking?